Hi guys, I have a book here today, The Lady and the Tramp. One Christmas morning, Jim Dear gave his wife Darling a very special present. Darling had barely unraveled the bow when a tiny Cocker Spaniel popped out of the gift box. "He's adorable!" Darling cried with delight. "I think you mean she's adorable," corrected Jim. "Let's call her Lady." Lady soon became the most beloved member of the household. Over time, Lady began to notice that her owners were paying less attention to her. She wondered why this could be. Lady discussed her problem with her friends Jock and Trusty, who told her that Darling and Jim were expecting a baby. "It's the worst thing that can happen to a dog," said a voice behind her. Lady turned around and was greeted by a dog named Tramp. Tramp, Jock, and Trusty were right. A few months later, the house was bustling with activity. People were coming and going, bringing gifts and cooing over the cradle. Lady was allowed to see the baby. "He's not so bad," she thought. "He's even kind of cute. Perhaps we could be friends." Soon afterwards, Jim and Darling left on vacation. Aunt Sarah came to visit their home to take care of the baby, bringing along her two Siamese cats. The sly cats wasted no time destroying the house. They shook the canary cage, tore up the curtains, and nearly tipped over the fishbowl. When Aunt Sarah entered the room to investigate the noise, the cats blamed the mess on poor Lady. Later, a man placed a muzzle over Lady's snout. She was so upset with Aunt Sarah that she ran away from home. Poor Lady was terribly frightened. She ran through the street without looking where she was going, weaving between the cars. Suddenly, a pack of stray dogs began to chase her. With her muzzle, Lady had no way to defend herself. Tramp, who was nearby, spotted Lady and the stray dogs. "Poor girl, I have to help her," he said as he ran to her defense. Just as the dogs were about to attack, Tramp jumped out in front of them. "It's Tramp!" barked the dogs. "Let's get out of here!" Tramp turned to Lady, who was trembling with fear. "I feel like we've met before," said Tramp. Lady tried to answer, but she couldn't. Her muzzle kept her from making any noise. "Now I remember!" cried Tramp. "You're the young lady whose owner was expecting a baby." It took some time for Tramp to realize that Lady's muzzle was holding her mouth shut. That's why she wasn't answering him. "Follow me," he told her. "I know where we can get that taken off." The two dogs headed off toward the zoo. Tramp approached a very busy-looking beaver. "Hey, Beaver, can you give us a hand, or a tooth?" asked Tramp with a laugh. The beaver examined Lady from head to toe. With his sharp teeth he chewed at the muzzle, and she was free in no time flat. "It's dinner time, let's eat," said Tramp as night fell. He led Lady to the back door of a charming Italian restaurant. What a beautiful night, Lady thought, as she took a bite of her pasta. Suddenly, she felt Tramp's lips on hers. They had been eating the same strand of spaghetti. Lady blushed. The dogs gazed into each other's eyes. They were falling in love. That night, the two dogs slept under the stars. Lady awoke with a start the next morning. "I have to go home," she said. Tramp offered to escort her. On their way, Tramp decided to chase some chickens. Lady knew it was not a good idea, and tried to convince him to leave, but it was too late. The dogs had been spotted by dog catchers, and they took off running. A truck stopped next to Lady, and the two men came out and grabbed her. Lady found herself behind bars at the dog pound. She had never seen so many unwanted dogs before. Her eyes filled with tears. Later that day a guard picked Lady up and brought her back home. Aunt Sarah tied Lady to the doghouse on a very short chain. When night came, Tramp came to visit Lady, but she was so angry that she refused to speak to him. Once Tramp had left, Lady cried herself to sleep in the doghouse. Later that night, as she lay in her doghouse, Lady saw a rat creeping towards the baby's room. She barked as loud as she could. Tramp heard her cries and came out to see what was wrong. "A rat!" Lady cried. "A huge rat just crawled into the nursery." Quickly, Tramp leaped into the house and through an open window. Tramp arrived at the nursery just in time to stop the rat from jumping into the baby's cradle. The rat was caught off guard by Tramp's loud growl and lost his balance, falling straight to the floor. Tramp pounced on the rat and they wrestled, but the rat was no match for Tramp. Meanwhile, Lady broke her chain and ran to the bedroom. The rat was dead. Tramp had won. All the noise had awoken Aunt Sarah, who rushed to the nursery with a broom in hand. She did not see the rat, only the two dogs. She swept the two dogs to the edge of the stairs and into the basement, where she locked them up. Aunt Sarah called the dog pound and asked them to come pick up Tramp. Jim and Darling came home later that night. Lady, who had escaped from the basement, ran quickly up the stairs to the nursery. Jim and Darling followed her. Lady lifted the curtain to reveal the dead rat. Aunt Sarah nearly fainted. "And I thought those two were hurting the baby, when all along it was a rat. I've sent that poor dog to the pound," she exclaimed. "Come with me, Lady. We're going to find your friend. He saved our baby's life," Jim cried as they drove toward the dog pound. Lady worried that it might be too late. "He's no angel, and he's not all that handsome," she thought to herself, "but I love him anyway." In the meantime, thanks to Trusty's great sense of smell, he and Jock were hot on the dog catcher's trail. When they finally caught up to him, Jock stepped in front of the carriage. The frightened horses reared and ran the carriage wheel right over Trusty's paw. Lady and Jim soon caught up to the broken carriage. While Jim spoke to the driver, Lady was horrified to discover Trusty trapped under the carriage wheel. Trusty assured her that everything would be fine. A few weeks later, Lady and Tramp were married. Trusty didn't let his cast stop him from attending their wedding, and Jock wore his brand new plaid vest. The two friends eagerly congratulated the happy couple. "Thank you, Trusty. Without you I would be lost," said Tramp gratefully. "I was glad to help a good friend," said Trusty with a smile. 1 year later, on Christmas Eve, 4 puppies sat under the Christmas tree. Behind the pups sat Lady and Tramp. Tramp smiled as he watched his little ones play. They were one big happy family. The end. Hope you guys liked it. Bye.